My mother, of course, came from a generation which hid away family members considered to be mad. And that was exactly what they did to me. And of course I didn't know what was wrong with me either. I had never heard of OCD. I didn't even know much about depression, really. Self-harm was an alien concept to me. Everything. I knew what a suicide attempt was, and I made a few. It was actually in 1979 when I first had a diagnosis, and it wasn't, it has to be said, from a doctor. It was from psychological social worker. Why can't I think of perfectly easy phrases at the moment? I had, it is true, placed my 3-year-old daughter in voluntary care. And the reason for that, actually she was nearer to 4 than 3. She'd soiled her bed. And I lived in a house with my parents. And the immersion heater was put on for 1 hour a week. 1 hour. For a very short time, once a week, we had hot water. This was a Sunday. We did not have hot water. It was cold. Everything, including my child, was covered in excrement. And I had only cold water to try to clean up with. And I did still have quite a strong element of OCD. I concluded, this was March, 25th of March, 1979. I concluded that she was at risk of getting pneumonia. And at that time, we did not have a landline. So I went to the neighbours, which was what we did when we needed to make a phone call, and said, could you call an emergency social worker? Which they did. And he came out and he said, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes. So she went into voluntary care. As it turned out, the children's home she was put in was, to put it mildly, the frying pan to the fire. The matron of that children's home was subsequently done for assaulted offences, abuse against the children in her care. But of course I didn't know any of that then. I just wanted her out of that house. So I then saw this psychologist come social worker, and for the first time ever described the previous 9 years. And he said, oh, OCD. And I said, what's OCD? And he explained. So I finally had a name for what was wrong with me, and I knew I wasn't crazy. I'm not sure if self-harm came up at that time, because I can quite clearly remember after one suicide attempt sitting in the office of a psychiatrist for about an hour. What was prescribed at the time, I think, was 50 minutes. And I didn't say a single word. And neither did he, by the way, apart from hello and goodbye. We were each waiting for the other to speak. And as far as I was concerned, what had happened in my life and what was happening in my life was unspeakable. I may have said this before. I almost feel sorry for that psychiatrist. He subsequently had a nervous breakdown. And this is the point, of course, at which I want to make a joke about I'm a psychiatrist, no one will talk to me, you know. Anyway. I believe I have medical records in which I am supposed to have denied that my father abused me. Actually, one of the things I found the other day was just the opposite. I did tell. Late in the day, it was about the time Fiona was killed. I was having cognitive behavioral therapy, and the chart that I have found from that makes it very clear that I had talked about my father's abuse and its consequences.